Street Galleries was a 2010 project that transformed the streets of the UK into the biggest gallery in Britain. The Street Gallery took over every billboard poster, bus stop, phone box and advertising space in the main street of 6 major cities across the UK. They exhibited specially commissioned photos by world-famous photographer Rankin. One of the most sought-after photographers at work today, Rankin produced 16 images for the channel, representing different forms of art. From ballet to modern art, music to literature, the images transformed the high streets of London, Birmingham, Manchester, Newcastle, Liverpool and Edinburgh, bringing art to the British public in a new way. The images were shot in North London at Rankin's purpose-built Anne Roy studio, named in honour of his late parents, Anne and Roy Waddell. This new collaboration continued a partnership that began in 2009.
Last year I did a project called Rankin Live, which was a combination of a retrospective exhibition of my work and a live photographic shoot within the gallery. And we asked people to send in photographs of themselves if they wanted to be part of the exhibition and be photographed live in the show. We did some pre-dates in towns around the UK, and Sky Arts came on tour with me and sponsored that part of the show and did a documentary about the show itself.
During the course of Rankin Live, over 1,000 Britons will be photographed, with their portraits immediately added to the exhibition, to hang alongside those iconic Rankin images of the great and the good, the rich and famous.
I just didn't want to make it about my photos, I wanted to make it about them coming and experiencing the actual exhibition and what a photographer does. Chin up a little. When I first got a call about the Sky Arts rebranding, I was told that the concept was to take over streets in the UK, in major cities in the UK, and kind of make them an exhibition space using the advertising hoardings, which for me is really exciting because it links back to what I did for Rankin Live in terms of this kind of public access to kind of art and photography and showing photography to a kind of wider audience, because the people that go to galleries and the people that don't go to galleries are kind of generally quite split. So being able to bring photography out into the streets and to brand a channel by using the outside space as an exhibition space was such a great idea. But we were kind of a little bit flummoxed, I guess, by the idea of how to portray art within photography, because obviously a lot of what art is about is the people that create it, and people that are famous generally are the people that are featured in this sort of stuff all the time. And hold that, I love that. We wanted to make it a little bit more about up-and-coming people, and also the fact that a lot of people in this country are into art. They might not actually go to art galleries, but they're really into looking in books and they're into creating their own work.
Great.
My mum used to draw all her life, but she never went to art school, but she was always interested in art. So we wanted to kind of bring people in that were much more grassroots, I guess, that weren't known, and that the names didn't overwhelm the kind of bigger picture of the idea.
My name's Jim Cregan. I'm a guitar player, songwriter, record producer and general ne'er-do-well.
Fantastic.
I was kind of inspired by jazz guys in the beginning. My brother was a jazz aficionado, and I found that the idea of people being able to improvise without any effort with people they'd never played with before, I found that really inspiring. And then I discovered the blues, and there was a love affair that's still going on now. My whole life, music's been faithful to me, my instrument, the idea of creating something, the idea of performing something in music, it's magical, and your whole life will be absorbed by it if you give yourself up to it, which I have done. The main reason to perform, I think, in the arts is to reach other people. If you're failing to communicate your music or your dance or your writing, then you need to have a rethink and maybe study some other people until you see how they're doing it and take your inspiration maybe from them.
I'm Robert Montgomery. I'm an artist. I make work with text in the street and in the gallery. So I do a combination of text pieces that are almost like poetry, but they're stuck over advertising billboards. So they replace advertising with poetry. So when you find my work in the street, you're not really sure what it is. You know it's not advertising, but you don't know it's art. So you have to sort of read it at face value and just absorb what it says.
So again, just the eyes.
I work in this kind of space between the street and the gallery, or I work in both spaces. And the work I make in the street isn't always exactly legal, because sometimes I steal the billboard spaces or I borrow them. So I think it's really quite therapeutic to replace advertising with poetry sometimes.
Well, that's quite nice, isn't it? What do you think? Do you like that, Rob?
The texts are sort of about the collective unconscious, and they're sort of about what the way we live does to us on the inside. And I think using billboard spaces is a very good medium for that, because the spectacle of advertising is designed to sell us things that are impossible to have, and I'm quite interested in the fact that we all want or are made to desire these impossible things. And I have a theory that we might collectively have a little bit of sadness inside of us because we can't have those things which are by definition impossible to have.
If we're going to do a street full of billboards of different disciplines of art, I want it to be about the art that people are creating, but also to have a kind of an aesthetic to it, so that you really feel there's an artistic integrity to the image that we've created. And that's why I wanted to make it about details of eyes and hands and, you know, parts of what people had actually made. So with a writer, you'd have a pen, or the pen actually on the paper. With a painter, you might have a paintbrush, and then use elements of the people that create it, because obviously all art is created by people for people. So it was to make it kind of quite human, but at the same time quite mysterious, so that would draw you into the images. It would create a great set of images, and then that would draw you back to the website and make you find out more about each of the artists. Yeah, I love the hair.
My name's Chichi Nwanoku. I'm a double bass player, principal double bassist of the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment. I'm a professor of double bass, historical studies at the Royal Academy of Music. Is that enough? The particular instrument that I play now, it's the most incredible instrument. It's 400 years old, and it was built by the teacher of Stradivarius in 1631. It is a big machine, and you have to find a way to get it onto your side. When this instrument was bequeathed to me about 23 years ago or so, I felt as though it was playing me rather than the other way around, and I was really quite intimidated by it. But it's a conversation between you and the instrument. You have to kind of persuade it to work with you, and it persuades you to work with it. You learn how to speak together and then produce a sort of result together. Every time I come off the stage, I feel proud in some way. In fact, every time I go on the stage, I feel so excited about just getting on the stage. For me, that's like the starter's pistol going off. For me, the fact that I've got that far, each time I remind myself when I walk on stage, I'm proud and I've got something to say to whoever's bothered to come and listen.
Yes, it looks like it's your eye. Yeah, and yes, yeah, it's great. There's so many photographs of people out there that do these jobs, which are just, you know, cheesy photographs of people holding stuff up. So I have to kind of give it an aesthetic and a graphic nature that makes you intrigued just to find out what it's about. And also, you know, people have a vanity about them. Nobody wants to look bad in a photograph, so you're also trying to make the person look interesting and good.
I'm Meredith Ostrom, and I'm a painter.
Great.
I recently have explored a technique where I paint myself and use myself to apply the paint to the canvas. I did it in a moment where I was feeling independent as a woman. Wanted to celebrate the female form and play with different colors and just feel extremely connected to it. I find if I'm feeling a lot of emotion, it's a good place to put it, because then something creative comes from that, instead of just like going crazy or doing something destructive. I sort of forgot about the cameras. Now I'm nervous knowing I've just done it. The whole process with the color and diving into color and mixing the different color, you enter a different part of your brain, more on instinct rather than thinking formal thoughts, let's say. So I guess you caught me in a different mode.
I love the bits when you look like you got angry, because it really looked like you got really angry and you're like, ah. And it was really physical, and it's quite unusual because I've never seen anyone do it like that.
I just felt like I had to get emotion out, like the lightning goes from my toes, and to me, like I reacted from what I was feeling. I was being steered by impulse.
What I also liked was when you said it's finished. It was so cute. It was like...
That's how I sign a lot of canvases, with a kiss. This is hard to get off.
A lot of what goes on with casting for photographs is just what people look like and how they're going to perform in front of the camera, and you want to balance that with a project like this with real talent. So you're looking for people that look good in photographs, they're confident in photographs, but at the same time they're also good at what they do. So I think with some of the dances you could really see they're really incredibly talented. So it was quite an in-depth casting series, because it wasn't just one day, and everybody had to perform to camera, and that performance allows you to see what they're going to be like when you photograph them.
My name's Sarah Editone Akinbi. I'm a dancer.
That ain't good. No, that ain't good. My poor heart is sentimental, not made of wood. 'Cause I've got it bad. That ain't good.
I find inspiration for my pieces in just my life and my environment. Any situations that I'm going through, I kind of bring it to what I do, creating dance. It has to be an emotional thing. You can't just dance and just be blank. It's impossible to just dance and not have any feeling or emotion in what you're doing. When I'm dancing, it feels like everything around me is still. All my worries, all my troubles, whatever I'm going through, I totally forget it and I'm in my own zone.
Because I've got it so bad.
My name's Natasha Gadilla. I'm a contemporary dancer.
Looking just like yoga. Do you normally meet men like this?
Well, I've been dancing since I was really young, so I started when I was 5, but I started doing jazz and tap and ballet, and it was mainly just for fun. It was just to keep me busy because I was quite a hyperactive child, just always running around, so my parents wanted me to do something, so I started dancing, and it was always just something that I did. And then as I got older, I started to really develop a strong passion for it and wanted to keep exploring it. I love that contemporary can be so many things. It can be about nothing, or it can be about everything. It can be abstract, it can have a story, it can really communicate something, or it can just be about the movement. And I really like that. I like being able to do a work that is just purely physical, that's about the body, but then I also really enjoy doing something that has a really deep message or has a story, and so I like the diversity of contemporary dance.
Because I've been doing this for 24 years now, I've got to a point where I make it look very easy what I do, but if you watch my assistants take the shots before me, they're not quite the same shots as the shots I take, and I know what I want really quickly from people, and it's about me trying to get it out of them whilst also making them feel comfortable about what they're giving you.
Little smell.
It's a collaborative experience, but I have to be a little bit in control, and because I guess I'm the author of it, so I have to collaborate with them but make it my picture.
That's really good. Great. Chin out a little more. Out and down. So it's almost like a chicken. That's it. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's great with the eyes. I love that.
I do work really, really fast, but you know, if I'd been doing this 15 years ago, it would have taken a lot longer to do. So it's that thing where with experience you kind of become speedy. And I think people generally don't like having their photograph taken, so it's quite an uncomfortable experience. So I try and make them laugh and take the mickey out of myself quite a lot, and try and make it fun in terms of the experience of coming here and stuff. And then try and take a good picture of them and let them come and look after I've shot and say, which one do you like? So they have an involvement in it, but you have to at the same time, you know, steer the boat, or you just would end up taking hours and hours and hours to do people. And people will go back in and have another shot done, but normally I think if you watched, the ones that I liked were the ones that they liked.
Love that.
My name is Jay Phelps, and I play the trumpet. I'm a jazz musician. At first, I thought it was going to be the easiest instrument because it only has 3 valves. But lo and behold, it's one of the hardest because it only has 3 valves. The music inspires me, and the history behind the music, the culture of the music, the beauty of it, the fact that it's a democratic music. It's a music for community as well, because not one person is going to be playing by himself and making a great impact. You have to play with a group to make an impact. There's not many art forms where you're all improvising together and trying to come to a sort of an agreement together in the same, at the same time as improvising. So that's the beauty of it.
The main thrust of me wanting to take photographs was I just knew that I couldn't be this guy who didn't create something in his life. I had to create something. I wanted to communicate my ideas to other human beings. Because I couldn't paint and my writing was so poor, it just seemed like photography was a very natural way to do things, because I was always looking at things. You know, it's like the windscreen of your father's car, or you know, the side windows becoming the frame for your life. And I just always remember thinking how much I love films and how much I love looking at things and seeing things, and it was really just a progression from that, and not being able to do anything else. And that's what's weird. I've gone on to do lots of other things, but at that time I was from such an artistic background. Even though my mum drew, she'd never been to art school. They wouldn't, you know, they didn't understand this idea of having anything to do with art and of being able to make a living from art. My parents wanted me to be an accountant.
You like that one?
To jump into kind of like fine art from being an accountant would have been impossible, and that's why I think I'm almost a commercial photographer more than somebody that's regarded as an artist, because I'm so close to that kind of commercial view on the world that my mother and my father handed down. It took me years to perfect that pose. When I first started as a photographer, I was influenced by all these people like Bailey and Don McCullum and Andy Warhol. And I guess what I got from all of them was do it yourself. You know, don't depend on anyone. Even Bailey, to an extent, even though he was with Vogue, there was an element of he was his own man and he made his own bed. What I've always wanted to have is that kind of exhibition space, the studio, the workshop, the factory, essentially the Warhol factory. And that's why I started a magazine when I was at college, because I wanted to control it all myself. And, you know, people forget that Bailey started Ritz in the 70s. And all of these guys that I kind of looked up to all did it themselves. In one way or another, they kind of created it. And so my dream was always to have my photography under one roof and have this very practical space, which was all about creating photographs and showing photographs, looking at photographs, making photographs. And my output has increased dramatically since I've had it, because I can just shoot whatever I want, whenever I want.
Rankin, 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 Rankin.
Perfect.